Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the debrief with myself, Connor McGilligan. I am joined by my two fantastic co-hosts, David Brown and KG. We are back here with another episode of the debrief. Thank you so much. I've not even spoken about this, but last week's episode hit 15,000 views. I think 2 or 3 days ago, which is nuts. It's the most we've had. So really, really appreciate that. It just shows that you guys are really enjoying the content. Let me just do a few switching around here. That's a little bit better. You two on top of me. Sounds a bit dodgy, but there we go. The dream team. Hi, Jack. Hope you're doing all right. Evening to the best trio on here. Evening CGB. Is that what we're going with? Is that the little abbreviation we'll go with this one? Okay. Evening, Connor. How you, Penny? I hope you're all right. Evening, boys. Glad to see you back. KG, there you go, getting a specific mention. Hit the like, subscribe. As always, guys, keep getting your comments in. But fellas, how we doing? KG, you're back after an absence from the debrief. Do you want to just let everybody know who doesn't know what was occurring?
Oh no, yeah, I was just unwell. I mean, I said it on my channel, but you have to be careful with YouTube algorithm. So I'll say that it rhymed with Zovid, and I was out with that for a week. So, but yeah, I'm all good now, people. Thanks for the well wishes as well. I think a few people came over and said, "I hope you're well." So thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. John Lauterjung. Don't know if I murdered that name. Good day from Albany, New York, to the unholy trinity of Leeds. Hello, John. Hope you well. David Brown, what's new?
I'm on 2 weeks off now, mate. School holidays where I am. So
you teachers, man. You teachers. My missus is always moaning about a workload, and she has 13 weeks off a year. I'm not having any of it.
But yeah, good to have KG back with us. Glad he's well. But let's get stuck into Southampton and that game, because it's just another point towards where we need to be.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, let's get into it, shall we? So I mentioned it on the group chat a little bit earlier on, and obviously we didn't delve into it because, we're all working men. Marsh ball at the weekend. Do you think we saw a little bit more of it, KG? I mean, and what I mean by that is, let me be a bit more specific. It seemed a little bit more narrow, a little bit more compact. The first 15 to 20 minutes really illustrated for me how central Leeds seemed. And we just saw a lot more of, I think, what we expected right at the start from Jesse Marsh. And maybe he's just getting his system intertwined with these players. What were your thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, I think I think we've seen it game by game, haven't we? I think the first 2 games he was literally copying the Bielsa blueprint. I don't think he changed much at all from what we saw under Bielsa. But as the games are going by, you start to see him trying to put his imprint on the games a bit more. But he is working with what he's got, which is like maybe 4 wingers trying to do the attacking midfield job. So it's going to look disjointed at times, which is, again, it's tough to judge it straight away. I think we need to see what he does in the summer. I think there'll be I know we don't want to talk about transfers and everything like that, but there will be some movement out just because some of these players don't fit what he wants to do. And I think it was quite evident as well in that game against Southampton too.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I still feel, KG, that I know we're a bit narrow and a bit compact, but when we talk about Leeds' successes and the success that we've had in the past 4 or 5 games with Jesse, I feel it almost turns into, and I don't know if you two agree, KG, I'll just ask you first. Do you think when it comes down to it, when it's sort of the last 20 to 25 minutes, not when Leeds are in panic mode, but when we need a goal, they sort of revert into Marcelo Bielsa ball again? It becomes a lot more wide. Rafinha starts hugging the touchline a little bit more. Do you think that once again happened at the weekend? Because for me, that it turned into a little bit of that toward the back end of the game. Rafinha was hugging the touchline. He was cutting back with Joe Gelhardt on that side. I do worry about that a little bit. Do you think that is something to worry about, or do you just think we need to be a little bit more patient?
It's gonna take some time because we're also working with naturally wide players. Doesn't matter if they cut inside or what have you, or run down the wing and cross it in. They are naturally wide. Even Dan James, when he played up front, he'll drift out wide as well. It's just what they naturally will do. This is why I'm trying to say it's difficult to really judge it from what we've currently got now to what he will bring in. And you've already heard it in his tone when he was talking about Bamford and getting in 1 or 2 strikers. He's already looking at next season. He just wants to get this lot to stay up and then move on in the summer. But Yeah, I hear what you're saying in terms of Rafinha. I think with anyone with the intelligence to do it, to play wide and move central, it'd be Rafinha. I know Jack Harrison was having a few problems with the instruction on the weekend. That was plain to see as well. But yeah, I mean, I think that's why all these rumors started. Hey, I mentioned on my match review, people thought I was making it up that Tottenham want Jack Harrison.
Yeah,
They thought I just plucked it.
Yeah.
They thought I just plucked it out of the air, but he's legitimately a target for Tottenham.
I know. Was it? I think it was Mike McGrath at the Telegraph, because I saw it the other day and I
Yes.
thought,
Yeah.
because I'd not seen it, KG, and I saw it and I thought, bloody hell, it's I mentioned so many times on here that Mike's a really, he's a good source.
Yeah.
Normally gets quite a few right. I think he reported the Noah Lang interest with Leeds. I think he reported the who do we bring in? I think he was the first one to bring in the Rodrigo news. I can't remember, but yeah. So I saw that and I thought, flipping heck, like it's from a decent source. This, so yeah. I mean, I want to get into that at the end. I want to get your guys' thoughts on that because I did a video on that today, but I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. Brownie, what were your thoughts on the game, mate? I mean, I guess we'll move to the lineup. That's what we'll do. We normally go in chronological order anyway, but I just found that interesting, the Marsh ball thing, and whether or not we're moving away a little bit from the Bielsa ball. But in terms of the lineup, were you happy with it? I mean, I ask this at the start of every single debrief. Were you looking at it and thinking, I'm good with that? I've seen Cage's reaction on his channel where maybe he wasn't 100% sure with it. I maybe was in the Cagey camp a little bit more. What were your thoughts?
I thought Cooper would come straight back in. I thought Koch was a little bit unlucky, to be honest. I think Llorente, possibly, if it had been Koch instead of Llorente, that'd have probably been more like, that's fair enough. You could understand why. I was really interested in this game because he's had a couple of weeks in the international break to work with a lot of them. Pre the international break, I think Cage is right. It is going to take time, and you think back to the Leicester game, it was literally a Marcelo Bielsa blueprint. It turned into a basketball, that match. But over time, you've gradually seen it change and adapt slightly. I think you're right. It was very narrow. But as for the lineup, it was pretty much where we are. It was just the Koch one that surprised me a little bit, because I thought that was a little bit harsh on him. I thought he's done quite well of late.
Was it Brown? Is it right to and we saw it with Bielsa, so this isn't a Marsh thing. Is it right for Cooper to come back in all the time? I know he's the captain of the club, but listen, there's been occasions where I mean, Cage, I'm sure you'll attest to this as well, mate. There's been occasions where Strouk's been playing extremely well. Cooper's been out, and then Cooper will come straight back in. I know it's been a little bit shaky at the minute, but do you think it's always right for Cooper to come straight back in? Are you in that camp?
I'd have brought him back in. I think Stroik he needed to come out of the team, to be honest. And I mean, it's not just a Bielsa thing, by the way. Cooper's played under 10 Leeds United managers. He's the only player in our history to play under 10 managers, I read through the week. So for some reason, these managers keep picking Liam Cooper. And I mean, I thought he had a good game. I really did. And it's been quite noticeable that we just haven't had any leadership back there. I hear what people say that listen, next season, will Liam Cooper start centre back? You'd like to think we evolve and move on, personally. But at the minute, I would have brought him back in, yeah. But when we listened to Marsh through the week, when he was saying Phillips and Cooper, only one of them could play, I just knew it would be Cooper that would be the one that would play. The forward line, I know we're missing Bamford and we don't have a number 9, but we just seem to keep not. It's just not working. The forward line that keeps getting picked for me. So the original question, was I happy with the lineup? Listen, you can't please everyone, but I thought we did well first half, to be honest. So at half time, you look at lineup and going, it worked. So I guess in all, that yeah, will it be the same lineup next week? Definitely not.
KG, when you look at Southampton in the 4-2-2-2 system, obviously Leeds looked like they matched them up. I know towards the back end, it looked like it turned into a 4-2-3-1. But do you think maybe that's where Leeds struggled in parts of the game because we're matching them up system-wise? Do you think maybe against an opposition that play a little bit more wide, Leeds are probably going to be able to expose them under Jesse Marsh a little bit more centrally?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we saw that with just the personnel. Southampton have been doing this for a couple of years now under Hassan Hootel, so they are well drilled within the system. They know what they're doing in it. A lot of our players don't, and it's quite evident as well, especially when we get hold of the ball in our own half, and then no one seems to know what to do with it, which is very frustrating a lot of the time. But yeah, as I say, it's just a personnel thing, and the personnel is just all over the place. I mean, you talked about the starting lineup. I mean, lining up Forshaw and Click does, and Connor will know this as he watched it. It does nothing for me, man. Like we're literally getting nothing, and I see other midfielders in their compilations and doing all kinds of stuff with the ball. Not even anything fancy, just progressing it, running with it, making space, creating, putting balls through balls through to a striker. We don't get none of that from these guys, man. And this is what I mean. This is why it's so tough to judge everything right now, because we just don't have the personnel to do a lot of other things. And you look at Jesse March, who he's worked with, Shabazlai, Daka, Haaland. He's worked with actual technicians of the ball. So he's not going to want to continue with these kind of players that we've currently got. So that's why I am looking out for the summer. I mean, I've been wrong about the last two transfer windows, but I'm hoping this summer, I hope this summer the club don't let me down and start to bring in some new blood that is appropriate for our new coach.
It has to be, and I mean, we mentioned the second and the timing was all wrong for me. I'm not judging Marsh on these games. Marsh, for me, I'll be judging him next season, because we're playing a system where you're right. We're playing a system where, I mean, I think back to the Aston Villa game where I think it was OTT how centrally where we got annihilated by the fullbacks. We're playing a system centrally, but we've got about 19 wingers at the club. It doesn't match. So you need to judge Marsh next year with players that you look at the Arneson transfer that looks like it might get done. Players of that ilk who will play centrally in the system that Marsh wants. But for me, Southampton were there for the taking. They're on the back of 4 straight defeats. And then you look
the
at
trend bookers, Leeds United, the trend bookers. Said it on the preview.
Then you look like Cagey just says, you're starting with a central midfield of Forshaw, Click. They're not. Go at them, get at them. But the personnel, that was what we had to go with, and it's purely down to that personnel. So that's not on Marsh for me. That's what he's got available, and that's what he's got to go with. But yeah, for me next season, like Sakagi says in the summer, if we're going to be playing that way, then we can't go another transfer window with no central midfielder coming in.
Why is it so difficult? And I've just seen this mentioned in the chat as well, and it's a really good point. 5 games now. Why is it so difficult to become more compact and play more vertically? I don't understand that. So I don't understand. We're all talking about the style. We're all talking about how we need to change, how we need to adapt, how it's going to take time. From the bullet points of the Jesse Marsh system, it doesn't seem that complicated. So Cage, I understand that the players have been indoctrinated into this system, but that system was way more complicated. So why are we sort of, why do we have this excuse at the minute of well, it's going to take time? Is it just based on the personnel, do you think?
I'm sorry to say, but it really is as simple as that. I mean, where do you want to start? We've currently got a goalkeeper that's a little bit out of form. He can't get a break because there's no one to back him up. We've got 2 fullbacks that are not fullbacks in this kind of system at all. They're the ones that need to be bombing on ahead of the central midfielders. That is where Jesse Marsh's system works well. We're not getting that with either Ayling or Dallas right now. You've got the starting at the moment until Calvin Phillips is fit enough of Click and Forshaw, so you're not getting anything there. And then you've got Dan James up front, and yet again, it did not work. For the 59 minutes he was on, that was probably his worst outing for us. And people know I've backed Dan James this season, but that was not a good outing at all.
No.
You got Harrison, that it takes him, until he does something in the game positive, it takes him a while to warm up in the games. I mean, it's just difficult right now. It's just it does come down to personnel for me.
I disagree slightly. I think the last system was easier. it was man to man. He's your man. There's no getting away from it. He's your man. And I think we got killed with Bielsa through the middle. Time after time, you saw people running through the middle of us. Whereas now I think it's gone the other way. We're that compact.
We're getting killed out wide. We're getting killed out wide.
Slaughtered out wide. Yeah. And I remember at the latter end of Bielsa's reign, where we were conceding a lot of goals. And I remember tweeting about it. At some point, the players have to take responsibility. Mm-hmm. There's always an excuse for them. It was, it was the system. Well, now it's another manager, and it's still the system.
No, not for me, Brownie. It's the players.
Yeah. That's what I mean. You can't keep blaming the system. We're playing a completely different way. We're now more compact, but these players are still seeing the same mistakes. At some point, you've got to look at the players and take responsibility for your own defending. And that's what I was trying to say at the end of Bielsa's reign. Yes, some of the goals were bad, but a lot of them were poor defending. So now we've gone from the red arrows through the middle to fullbacks looking world beaters every week because with that. I mean, I remember at Wolves, the Wolves away game in that first half, was it Trincao who kept getting cutbacks for fun off the fullback because the fullback had the freedom of Molineux. So it's gone the other way.
I think the biggest example of it was Villa, wasn't it? Villa was just, in terms of width, we just got murdered, and they just looked. But that's what I'm trying to understand. I just don't understand how it's that difficult. Really,
it's just the quality of player for me.
And I guess in the Premier League. Do you not think as well with footballers, what we don't take into consideration is when we talk about quality, it's not just on the ball. It's their intelligence. It's their football IQ. That's not what, because when people say, he's a quality player, Lionel Messi is a quality player. It's not just about him as a technician. His intelligence is incredible. Like, you look at Harry Kane at the minute, his awareness, his positional awareness, it's just off the charts. And I think when people talk about quality, they think it's silky skills. They think it's pinging one in the top corner. That's not what it is it, KG, altogether?
Movement. We're in the Premier League. The movement's frightening. KG will say the same thing. Off the ball, it's
positional awareness is big as well. Yeah.
We're playing Premier League football with a lot of Championship players, and they're doing brilliantly. And everybody can say, from where we've come to where we are now, some players have probably hit the ceiling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it wasn't just through the wings as well. We was getting torn apart. I did know in the first half against Southampton, they were getting through the middle too. So they were getting a bit of joy through the central because, again, you've got, I mean, listen, and this is where we are now. The club will always tweet out propaganda for the players, but Forshaw had his heat map tweeted out.
I knew that'd really piss you off.
But having said all this, I thought first half we were really good, and we came away from the game thinking that's probably 2 points dropped. So we're saying all this, but I felt like we did enough to win the game. I really did.
I just saw that it pinged up on my phone. I thought he's going to be raging about that.
The thing is, kind of, I'm not raging because I know what they're doing. It's simple PR stuff, and if you've never worked in PR or for companies that are really bad and always will get out press releases, then you won't know what's happening. But I know what they're doing because they said something like 60-something touches and 40-something passes. Well, tell me how many of those passes went forward. How many of them went forward, please? I beg you, tell me. But this is where we are. I'm proud of you. Go.
No, I do. I understand exactly what he's saying. But again, we've said, it's the personnel. If he doesn't play, who does it? And that's where we're at the minute. And like I said, I thought first half, we were more than worthy of our lead. Yeah. I really did. I really did. And then I'm sure we'll get onto the free kick. I mean, we had our...
not now, mate. We've got a section for that.
Yeah.
I've been told that I'm not allowed to have an opinion on it because he made a good save earlier on, which I don't understand, but there you go.
Keeper makes save. Wow.
Yeah.
Do
your job.
I'm sure we'll get onto the free kick. But it's just... It really did feel like 2 points dropped. So we're saying all this, but I did collectively over the 90 minutes, I thought we did well.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I agree. Quick shout out, Leeds Radars in the building. Apparently he's just said, a lot of people have just said Somerville's scoring worldies. So there you go. Right. Really interesting topic that I want to bring up with you guys. Sorry, my missus is ringing. That's not what it is. But there we go. Yeah. So now I've got to be transparent here because I've come out and said something completely different on social media. Now we're talking about Click. We're talking about Forshaw. What I want to do is talk about this season. I don't want to talk about the projection. I don't want to talk about who we're going to get next season because I'm in complete agreement. Bring in Brendan Harrison, Minamino, whoever. I'm all on board with that. But this season and what we're seeing at the minute with regards to Click and Forshaw, I think there's an argument right now that they are doing well. I think there's quite a nice balance between them. I think everybody's seeing that there's definitely progression in terms of that midfield space. And I look at it, and without having an absolutely incredible meltdown, everybody, but I just want to put this to you. Calvin Phillips in this system, it's a completely different way of playing. His quality's above anybody else in this team for me. It's way above, apart from Rafinha. But is there a chance, because of his different role, the fact that he's going to be playing in a double pivot, which is a completely different double pivot to England, by the way. So, I'm not taking those references. But he's not going to be able to switch the ball anymore because everything's going to be central. He's going to have to build through the spaces vertically. That's all Jesse Marsch does. He doesn't like people keeping hold of the ball. He's getting the ball like a hot potato, getting rid of it through the middle. And he's not about possession. It's all about getting the ball up from the centre back to the striker. We look at the second balls. That's what it's all about, being narrow and compact. I was looking at Calvin Phillips at the weekend, and I'm wondering if he is going to struggle in this system. Now, I don't want to waffle on too much about it, but just as a concept, KG, we understand his quality. We understand how good he is. We get that. But we always talk about systems on this channel and players fitting into this system or whatever system it is. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think he will be able to fit in and his attributes will be, will sort of, get to that next level under Jesse Marsch? Or do you think there could be a little bit of a potential for him to maybe go down a little bit in this style of play?
What I'll just say quickly before KG starts, if I get to Vicarage Road on Saturday and Adam Forshaw's playing instead of Calvin Phillips, I ain't going to be happy. But I'll let KG go. No, but I will. No, but I'm going to. There's a lot of. Well, this is just that question. It's just that specific question where I'm just talking about Calvin Phillips, and I just looked at the switch ball, and once again, KG, the club propaganda, which we speak about, they put it out, didn't they? The crossfield pass, but that ain't going to be happening much more. That is not going to be happening. So I just wonder about his attributes and where he's flourished under Marcelo Bielsa. Is there potential that he could struggle under Jesse Marsch, do you think?
No, not if he gets the right personnel in, because Jesse Marsch even came out himself and said that he sees Phillips and he wants someone like Declan Rice next to him, didn't he? He says he wants him to play in that double pivot like he does for England. He just needs to find himself some kind of Declan Rice. It doesn't have to be of that level. Obviously, we're not going to be able to afford someone of that quality, but this is where the scouting comes in. This is where they come in and say, we've got a player that can fit next to Calvin, and Calvin can do his thing still. Because I think Calvin has got a really good range of passing. If you think back to last season, his ball through to Bamford against Chelsea away, really good ball. Wasn't a cross-field one, it was through. Split the defence open. That's a good Chelsea defence. He's got a decent range of passing, but he has to have the right partner. And that's something for me that has to be addressed in the summer yet again, because I don't want Calvin being dragged down by the people next to him. So I need him to thrive next to players that are on the same wavelength, because he is above that station by a few levels as well. It's not even close.
But KG, how is he going to be able to? I mean, we saw the reason for me. We're going to touch on Llorente in a bit, but the reason he's included in this lineup is so he can get the ball from centre back and distribute it over their centre backs. That's what it's all about. Calvin is not that go-to guy anymore. He's not the go-to guy where Liam Cooper gives him the ball, Calvin sprays it left, sprays it right. That's not how it's going to be. So his range is going to be affected. So if he's just building up through the central spaces, getting it to the attacking midfielder, getting it to the striker, to his feet, back to goal, is he going to be able to flourish in that way?
Yes, if he has a better partner. You've got to. This is the problem as well. This is what happens when you get conditioned to certain players that you've just seen week in, week out. There are better players out there than what you're seeing right now on the pitch for Leeds United. It's as simple as that. And once they come through the door, it'll be like, oh, yes. So this is how a central midfielder is supposed to move. This is what fluid movement looks like. This is what putting a through ball is all about. This is what covering grass is, but with purpose. This is what's going to happen. So give Phillips the right partner. I think it will be more than fine. But if you're talking about a long-term thing of Phillips next to Forshaw, Phillips next to Click, then of course it's not going to work.
I don't think it would work next to Forshaw. I think there's an argument that it'd work alongside Click, and I think Click has been much improved. But I don't think you can start Phillips and Forshaw together. It's an interesting topic, really, because I think, what Bielsa made of Calvin Phillips, I'm not sure is going to be something
Connor, let me just say, it's like Jack Harrison. He puts a lot of crosses in across the box that should be met by somebody, but because we don't have an out-and-out striker, the balls are just flying past the box and going nowhere. If you've got a striker there, you're probably looking at Harrison's numbers looking a lot better than they are right now. It really is about the quality of player you're bringing in, and that's just what they haven't done over the past couple of windows.
I agree with that, and I've kind of stuck up for the wingers quite a bit this year because they've not had a centre forward in the box to actually cross it into. As for Calvin, and I'll just
we know his ability. We know his ability. I'm just talking about in the system. That's it.
I'm trying to think back to England in the Euros where he got England's Player of the Year. He played more advanced for England. We saw Declan Rice being the deeper one, and we saw Calvin being the one more advanced. He was playing a lot of through.
No, did we?
Yes, we did. Yeah, the Croatia
maybe.
Germany. He was playing through the lines to Kane a lot, so he can do it. With England, he plays through the lines to Harry Kane. Harry Kane's got his back to goal all the time, and he's finding him. You're right. With the system, we ain't going to be switching 60-yard diags all the time. I've seen it once recently, which was the goal at Wolves where Koch did a crossfield ball and Ayling got in at the back stick. But they are down to 10 men at that point. So we are going to spread and switch the play. But other than that, you're right. Over the last 6 games, we haven't been hitting diagonal balls to fullbacks. It's been very central and very narrow. So it's a good talking point to bring up. But whether it's his game or not, he has to play over Forshaw. And I know that sounds wrong because you play the people for the system, but like I said at the start of the conversation, if we get to Vicarage Road and we see Phillips on the bench and Forshaw starting with Click, every man, woman and his dog are complaining and saying, what on earth is going on?
What are we thinking of Click at the minute? I think he's one we've KJ, I looked at your channel, watched your review of the game as well, and you were talking about Rodrigo and how he's really come into form. I think we've got to talk about Click as well. I'm not saying he's going to be there for the long-term future, so let's keep this in context. But there's definitely been a vast improvement, I think, and I think that's why a lot of Leeds fans are talking about Forshaw and Click and the balance that they're giving each other. But Calvin has to come in. I would agree with that. It was just a question. I was playing devil's advocate, but Calvin does have to come in. Who is that double pivot player alongside him, KG? Because for me, you can't really put Forshaw next to him because they're too alike. They're way too alike.
Yeah, listen, if you're giving me the choice out of the two, it would be Click, just purely on the basis that he does eventually get forward a little bit more. Yes, he may take about 10 touches to make a pass. Yes, he can't shoot for nothing. Yes, I know. All of these things that are all very true. But yeah, if you're telling me to choose out of the two, it would be Mateus Click. And I thought actually, out of the two on the game on the weekend, he was quite unlucky to get the hook.
He was
over Forshaw. I think I said that as well, because I think Click just gives you just a little bit more, and I mean a little bit more with the grayness of this little bit, but it gives you a little bit more going forward. He does, because he put in a good ball across, and yet again there was no one there to touch it. He put in a nice ball from the right across. It went behind Harrison, and yet no one else was following through. That's the problem. That's the issue. We've got no attacking midfielders following in and just levering it into the bottom corner. But yeah, so if you're making me choose, it would be Mateus Click next to Calvin Phillips.
I'm with Cagey there. I think like Click definitely gets forward a lot more. I think back to Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge, the Gelhardt goal, he was the one breaking up and feeding. I think it might have even been Tyler Roberts, the through ball to put across the goal. That he does seem to be more advanced, and if you've got a Calvin behind him, it gives him a little bit more license. For me, Forshaw, it's like you said, Cage. It's how many of them passes are going forward. It's like a crab. It's just all sidewards. But flipping it round, he does calm us down. It can be very erratic with Leeds United. It can become 100-mile-an-hour all the time. And he does put his foot on it and slow it down, but I think he slows it down more than he needs to, for me. But I think we'll see a lot of Jesse Marsh's mentality at the weekend. It's a game away at Watford. Beat them, and you can virtually start planning for next season. If we go to Vicarage Road and start a Forshaw with a Phillips, it's quite defensive for me, that. So it will show us a lot. The starting lineup next weekend with Phillips available, Click available, Forshaw available, Rodrigo available in them central areas. Who he starts with, it will be a good indicator as to what life it's going to be like.
I would even go with, I know Pascal. I mean, listen, I'm Pascal's biggest fan, but I knew he needed to come out eventually because he's just been off the boil for the past couple of months, and that's going to happen with a young guy like Pascal. But I would even go with putting Pascal at left back if you really have to, and moving Dallas into the central midfield. I think that gives us a lot more. I think Phillips and Dallas would give us more in central midfield than any of these other choices that we've been given. So I would possibly do something like that.
And who was that left back, did he say, sorry?
Strauch at left back.
Oh, okay.
To bring Dallas inside, did you
to bring Dallas into the midfield, next to Phillips, yeah.
Do you think he'd have the
I do.
Do you think with us being so central though? I think there is a lot of onus on the right back and the left back to get forward now.
They're not though. They're not though, Connor. So it doesn't matter, does it? They're literally not. Dallas is not having the best year at left back. He was brilliant last year when he was asked to play there. It hasn't been the case this season at all. So I think it wouldn't really matter with him. And I think Strauch actually for us when he was asked to play left back, I think he did very well if I recall right. Let's just give him a chance. What's the worst that could happen?
Does bring a bit more height into the team as well.
Russ says, I'm a believer if you win the midfield battle most games, you'll win. A quality central attacking midfielder must be added. It's that simple. Yeah, I mean, I think we're all in agreement. If we don't bring in certain bodies this month, we are going to be relegated next year.
I'll be disappointed. I'll be disappointed if we don't bring two central players in.
Yeah, Cleveland says Walker-Peters was all over us on that left-hand side. Would you say? Yes, I think we all would take Carl Walker-Peters in a heartbeat with what we have at the minute. But yeah.
Sorry, David saying no, KG, more squares in round holes. The whole team is anyway. Even when people told me that Dallas in his natural position of central midfield, he was never a central midfielder, people. He was a right winger.
Yeah, we bought him.
That's literally what he was. He was never a central midfielder. In fact, when that experiment first happened, he wasn't looking very good there. It wasn't until maybe the third year that he started to shine in that position. So until we fix the squad makeup, we're going to have to put a few square pegs in round holes, I'm afraid.
Talking about square pegs, round holes, it looks like, if I'm getting the comment section bang on, Joffy has gone off with an injury, hamstring. So Gelhardt, Gelhardt down and receiving treatment. Gelhardt has come off.
I brought this up around Christmas time.
Pointing to the back of his left thigh.
He picks up a lot of injuries.
He does.
He's a growing boy. Allow him. He's a growing boy.
I take that. He's at an age where he's growing. I do take that. Yeah. Is that a reason why he's being protected so much?
Well, he came on. I don't know if you noticed, but when he came on, I think it was at the weekend. He came on and immediately he's holding his back. Literally, it panned to him. He's holding his back, and I'm like, "What's going on there?"
He wasn't put in the England squad due to his back. Do you know the Wolves away game? That was the day that the England team was announced, and he wasn't involved in that. And we saw Sam Greenwood come on instead of him. So he's clearly not right.
I think
which-
Jody makes a good point
Yeah,
as
I'm
well.
just about to say that.
Why you know, if he's looking, I mean, Jesse's, this is once again, it's a decision, isn't it? It's I understand you're trying to get him back up to fitness, but we have an absolutely monumental, whatever, you know, and anyone says, you might think we're staying up or you might think we're going down, whatever, but you have to understand the importance of this game at the weekend. It's huge. So I just don't understand. If you're going to play him up front, which apparently he's been, you know, getting to that point where he's going to be starting. It looks like Jesse's been talking about Dan James working the press capacity from the wing areas. So Gelhart's clearly playing up front. So I just don't understand why he's starting in this game. And yeah,
well, this comes back to me where I got slaughtered a couple of weeks ago when I was saying there's a lot of talk from Jesse March. Listen, I've openly said I'm not judging him till next year. This year's a free hit for me for him. It's not his team, it's not his system, it's not his play. But in his very first press conference, he said, there's a history of playing these players when they're injured. I'm going to look after my players. I'm not going to overwork them. I'm not going to overload them. And in, a month, we've had Bamford playing injured, out for 6 weeks. We've got Gelhardt, who's not fully fit, starting in the 23s. We've got Robert staying on a pitch where he's got no hamstring. And it's just, like you say, Connor, it's a monumental game at the weekend. And I just... Jody, was it Jody? It's like, why is he playing?
She's right. Oh, she or he, sorry, is completely right. Yeah. Yeah. That's very disappointing, especially Beren Cross was just saying he was hobbling off, gingerly pointing to the back of his thigh. So I mean,
yeah, he's done.
Yeah, he's done for the weekend. Then if he's pointing to his thigh, so yeah, looks like it's
just
DJ.
Frustrating, isn't it? It's just frustrating. Yeah. Like
very.
We all get frustrated when we say like it's a game where I feel Watford are really there to be got at, put them to bed. You know, a player like Gelhardt away from home, it's just perfect for him.
Yeah, it really is. Well, let's hope that he makes a recovery anyway. So let's move on to the free kick, shall we? Which everyone's been speaking about. I think there's no real reason to talk about the game state for me. I thought it swung both ways. I think we're all in agreement there. But yeah, I think the free kick was obviously it's a big talking point. KG, I think, did you say on your channel that I can't remember what he said. I don't know if he said that he should have saved it or he shouldn't have saved it. My opinion is that he could have done a little bit better. What about yourself, mate? Do you think it was just a stunning strike by James Ward-Prowse?
No, it wasn't stunning. It wasn't even close to stunning. The more I see it, the more I think if he was more central and just moved across, I think he could actually caught it. The more I see it, I think I genuinely do. I'm not taking anything away from the curl that Ward-Prowse puts on it. I'm really not. It's just his starting position was way too far over, and it was obvious what he's going to do. Ward-Prowse usually always whips it in the near side. There's only one time where I've seen him arrow it, and that was against Wolves, and that was a wicked free kick against Sarr. He just arrowed it straight, and he went straight into the top corner. But I just think with how much he got of it with his hand, if he's better positioned and how tall he is, I think he could have saved it. But at the same time, I'm not going to disagree and say that it was a good free kick. It was. But all this sensational free kick and stuff, it was nowhere near one of the best free kicks you'll ever see. Yeah. I just think that the position, that's something he's got to learn. But I do think that, again, I don't want to keep on hammering the club, but it's on the club. They don't have an experienced goalkeeper coach. They don't have an experienced backup. He's not learning. He's not learning from the Shelby. He's not learning from, what was the other one?
Maxwell Cornet.
He's not learning from any of these because he hasn't got a veteran to tell him about it. So it's something they've got to sort for the summer.
For me, yes, James Ward-Prowse is an unbelievable free kick taker, but that doesn't mean every free kick is unbelievable. Just because he scores a lot of free kicks doesn't mean every free kick is unbelievable.
I think Cresswell's for West Ham was much better.
Yeah, no, that was a sweet one.
That's unsavable. That's gone in the postage stamp. This one from James Ward-Prowse, it's over a yard inside the post.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not in the top corner. It really isn't, and he gets a hand on it.
Yeah, and I wholly disagree with this as well. Prowse scores those against anyone. I think it's
no, he doesn't.
It's a rhetoric that everybody says. I mean, he scored 3 this season. That doesn't mean he scores. He'll have what, two or three kicks, two or three kicks a game. That doesn't mean he's scoring every single free kick he has. He's got 3 this season, 4 last season. He's unbelievable at free kicks. We all know that. Cage is referencing that Wolves one. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. It was an unbelievable knuckleball goal from about 35 yards out against arguably the best keeper in the division on form this season. So, but overall, I'm looking at that James Ward-Prowse, and he's got a hand to it, Meslier, and I think it's almost a comfortable hand. He's not stretching too far.
It was a good hand. It wasn't
It's
fingertips. It was a good hand.
It's a good hand. It's a full hand to it, and I think for me, I think he had. I'm hearing. You know, there's no way in hell he could have saved that. Well, there is. You know, for me, I look at him and he's too far over again. I'm looking at the wall and I'm thinking, is that assembled right? You know, I mean, you look at the Burnley one, the wall was all wrong. The wall was all wrong against Burnley. And I'm looking at this one, I'm thinking, does it cover that much of that post? Are you a little bit too far over there? You're about half a yard away from the end man in the wall. He's just given himself so much sure. I don't think when it's a yard in the post, like Brownie said, when you're a 6'7" goalkeeper, I think you've got to keep that out.
I think for me as well, the major point is it's not. If it was a one-off, you'd think fair enough. It's the third one he's conceded at Ellen Road alone this season. And I spoke to a goalkeeper over the weekend on it because you know my opinions on him. So I wanted to be clear. He lines it, and he plays in the Football League. He lines his walls up and he then makes himself stand on the end of the wall. So his wall's covering the goal and then he's in line with where if there was another body in the wall, that would be where he'd be stood. If you look at Melior's position, he's another 2 or 3 bodies over from the end of the wall. He's two yards over, and like KG says, who's teaching him? We've got no senior goalkeeper. How old is he? 20, 21? He's the senior goalkeeper at the club. It's madness, and that's not on Meslier. Meslier, if you probably spoke to him, he'd probably say, "Yeah, I'd love someone experienced to be teaching me and learning from." He'd probably want that.
Yeah.
Because at such young age, he's doing unbelievably well. Don't get me wrong. And I think the save in the first half from Shares, I think it's an unbelievable save. I really do. But that doesn't give him a free pass to let a free kick in. He's got to save it.
I don't get that. I don't get that. I've heard that a lot. He's made an unbelievable save, so it kind of lets him off. It's like, well, no. I mean, this is. It's not a basic save at all. It'd have been a really good save, but it's.
And I think KG, what he said is right. I think if he starts himself a yard. Even a yard closer to the wall, he catches that, and then people aren't calling it a stunning free kick because everybody's going way because he just catch it.
Villa Martin says, harsh guys, the wall covered that side. Martin, I don't think it did. I don't think the wall did cover that side. He has to cover the open side, or Prowse puts it in there. Granted, he needs a goalkeeper coach. Fair enough, though. Sure, it's your opinion. You know, I think it's 50-50 for this one, to be honest with you. But anyway, we might be wrong anyway. But yeah, just opinions, isn't it? But
and of course, we always have to say, well, I'll speak for myself. I love Meslier. Like he saved us more times than not, especially with our leaky defense. Yeah. So it's not a slight on him. It's just things that he could and should improve. But hopefully he gets that help in the summer.
He probably will. He probably will develop. Like all three of us have got no doubts. He probably will go on to big things for France. He will. Yeah. But at such a young age, I think the club's letting him down.
Yeah, I think he's struggling with his kicking as well, isn't he? He's struggling with his kicking.
When he first came on the scene, we went through this on our show the other night, Connor. When he first came on the scene, his kicking, he was like a quarterback zinging balls everywhere. And it's just, I don't know, there's something not right.
I think we have got to say though, Brownie, there's a lot of people making a really good point here. There's no way the free kick should have been given in the first place. How Kyle Walker-Peters is able to just meander around about 4 or 5 players is pretty poor from a Leeds standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely spot on. It shouldn't get to that point, but it did.
Yeah. KG, Rodrigo, a man reborn.
Yeah, man. Listen, that's
rumor has it he's had a Leeds shirt delivered with Rodrigo on the back.
Go on, let him have his shine. We'll let KG have his shine.
You know what it is, man. And Rodrigo, I think it's plain to see, and I think he even came out with some quotes during the international break, saying just about how much better he feels now playing his football. Like he doesn't feel it just so chaotic anymore. In fact, he was one of 3 people that said that, which was quite interesting. But yeah, I mean, since Jesse Marsh has had the talk with him after the Villa game and made him a senior guy, made him not having to do the donkey work that he was having to do before, he looks like a different player. I would definitely say his strongest point is the number 10, because I don't think his finishing is that strong. But the way that he's linking up play and putting players through, man, he's been on it the past few games. And so I have to give him his props. I have to give him his props. Like I say, I had him done, man. I had him sent off to death row, but he's got a reprieve, man. He's got a reprieve.
Would you keep him for next year now?
If he carries on the way that he is now, then yeah, because I'm thinking about it as a value way. If you're getting this out of Rodrigo for the remaining, 1 year, 2 years on his contract at his age, then you might as well just use that rather than just get back however many millions you can get from this summer. So I absolutely would, as long as he's happy playing his football and he's performing in this manner, then absolutely you keep him around in the squad. This is the kind of quality that we was hoping to get a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, we didn't see it, but we're starting to see it now. And it is a lot different from the run last year. I will say that you can just see it in his body language. He's a lot more happier in his play. He looks a lot less confused as well. I'll say that. You know, he looks
more calm. He looks more
exactly.
calm and composed. It's not 100 mile an hour with him. You're right. He does look less chaotic, which is mad because of how many bodies are in that central area. It's so congested in there, but he seems to be.
But he's the one that you can see with his quality. He's finding the room to split away from that little pack and then make a move going forward. And unless Dan James isn't giving it when he should, then it unfortunately the ball turns out to come to nothing. But I think he's done, apart from the Villa game, which I think everyone was very bad for. I think under Jesse Marsh, he looks like a completely different player.
He's been our best player, I think, under Jesse Marsh.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
He has 100%. Yeah, I mean, there was aspects in that game as well where he was just threading the ball through an eye of a needle, and I think he's been doing that for 3 or 4 games. You're just taking up those, those half spaces just in that 10 role. Yeah, I just think he looks really good at the minute. So I mean, did you recall the one where he picked it up at halfway and he just sped forwards, and him and Rafinha had a little bit of sort of interchange, and I didn't know he had that pace in his locker, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
It was good to see.
That's what I'm saying. And then there was a move down the right. Unfortunately, Gilhart was involved as well, which meant no one was running in the box. It was Rafinha, Rodrigo, and Gilhart on the right in the second half, and they made a brilliant move. Rafinha just kept it in. I think it went to Rodrigo, then Gilhart, and then Rodrigo, but no one was in the middle. That's what I'm saying. He's just creating some spaces. We just need some better finishers around him.
Yeah. Well, I had down here Gelhart as a topic of conversation, but I'm really annoyed at that. But yeah, looks like there's absolutely no point in going over that. It was interesting in terms of, I guess we've spoken about it on here before. Positionally, I think still, I mean, he comes on and makes things happen, but it's that Harry Kane, Wayne Rooney thing, isn't it? Where you're so attracted to the ball that you leave those spaces in and around the box. And I think I absolutely love Joe Gelhart. I think he's fantastic. Arguably should have had a penalty at the end as well. But I think overall, it's still, if I was Jesse Marsh, I'd be saying to him, well, I don't know if I would, because I don't know if that's his strength, stay in the box. And I think we saw an occasion where Dallas played him in, he fired it across the 6-yard box, and unfortunately we couldn't capitalise on it. But he can do some really dangerous work in the penalty area. And I think there's just so many times, KG, where he gets attracted to the ball and he moves out of that space, and then we've got nobody in the middle. It's a problem, is it? You almost feel like he'd be perfect alongside a Patrick Bamford, not by himself.
Yeah. And that's the issue, because if you're going to play Rodrigo, if you're going to be too up front, you have to have a more clinical body. And I think with Gelhart, he's looking to impress a lot of the time, and that comes with getting attracted to the ball. So he's trying to make things happen. And he did do that, because when Dan James came off, I mean, what's his name? Salisu was eating Dan James for breakfast. It wasn't even funny. Like, he was just getting nothing against him. So, and then Gelhart comes on and he occupied both Bednarek and Salisu, both of them. They didn't know what to do with him. That's the difference. But yeah, I agree. It would be nice if you could stay in the box a bit more just to finish off the chances and don't worry about so much about the build-up play. But that's the kind of player he is. So you're right. We do need another forward. And Jesse did allude to that. He said we're going to look for 1 or 2 forwards in the summer, which for me is quite exciting.
Yeah, that is really good to hear, because I think even Gallagher would say himself, he wants someone with him, share the workload. You're not going to do half as much of the work that you're doing, and it will allow him to be in the box more. But I think his strengths are drop deep, picking up the ball, running at players, and I think he should have had another penalty. I really do. It's one of them for me where if it's given, it's not overturned. No chance.
Yeah, definitely an argument there. So let's move on to there's sort of 3 that I want to end on really. Jack Harrison to Tottenham Hotspur. KG, you mentioned it at the start. Interesting one. I've covered it in a video. If you guys haven't checked out the video, make sure you go check it out today. It's on the channel. Thoughts, mate?
Well, it makes a lot more sense than the Jack Clark one ever did. But thank you for the 10.5 million, Tottenham. But for me, it's an interesting one because we've spoken before about wingbacks, and wingbacks are going to be vital to Jesse Marsch going forward. I don't know. When I've seen Harrison play at left back, he has been positionally a bit suspect for me. I think that players go around him a little bit too easily, but then he's not a natural left back, so that's understandable. But if you're going to trade him in that position, for what we've currently got now, unless they've got plans to get in 2 left backs in the summer, I mean, this is a very expensive shopping list we're talking about here, people. Very expensive. But unless they've got plans to get in 2 left backs, I would possibly convert him to a wing back in the system and let us develop him in that way rather than him having to rely on going forward. I think he might even suit him playing as a wing back, not a left back. I don't think he's cut out for that. But wing back, where you've got a little bit more room to make a little bit of an error with your centre backs covering you, I think it might be a good idea. But if he wants to go to Spurs, because he's got a few connections there. PLO has talked about Patrici, sounding him out to Patrici. I can see why he'd want to go to Spurs. And he'd probably get a game there because Reguilon's kind of in and out the team. Sessegnon is not the answer for them long term. It's interesting because I can't, like I say, kind of, some people thought I was making a joke on Saturday. They thought I was actually joking that why would Spurs want Harrison? But if you think about it, Conte loves wingers and converting them into fullbacks. He's historically done it. He's done it to Victor Moses and he's done it to plenty of others. Ashley Young, he's done it to a lot of them. So, let's see. I mean, if the offer's good enough, though, and we get a direct replacement at left back, something much better, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I must be honest.
Yeah, they need to. I think they need to improve on that. I mean, we saw Alioski go out, and we were expecting an improvement there. We didn't get that. If Jack Harrison is to go, I'm not. You guys know that he frustrates the life out of me sometimes, but he does have output over a season. I don't think it's great, but it is output nonetheless, which helps Leeds United. They can't. If Jack Harrison is to go, they need to bring, if they're playing a 4-2-2-2 system and they're not using wingers, they need to go out and buy a top attacking midfielder to replace that output, don't they, Brownie?
Yeah, definitely. And I think I'd be disappointed to see him go, actually. I really would. Tottenham surprises me. He's definitely Premier League quality. You look at would he get into a Wolves, a West Ham, that ilk, pushing for Europe? I'd say yeah. I don't think he's quite at that top 6 level. But if it was like I say, a Villa, West Ham, Wolves, I could see why they'd want him. I think he's on 8 goals at the minute. I think he'll get to double figures again. That's another season of double figure for goals. There's only Rafinha who's got more goals and assists than Jack Harrison in our squad this season. To get to double figures with the season we've had, it is good numbers. And I mean, I've had a look at Jack Harrison today, and he's actually got a shot accuracy of 66%. His stats are actually a lot better than I imagined. Tottenham surprises me, though, when you look at Kane, Son, the guy they brought in January. I butcher names for fun, but I'll have a go. Kulusevski.
Nearly.
Kulusevski, yeah.
Nearly.
Yeah.
You know, smashed that.
Does he get in front of them? No. So, I mean, I know it's the lure of London, bigger wages, possibly Champions League football.
Yeah.
But does Jack Harrison want to play football? And I don't think he plays. I don't think he'd start for Tottenham. And then you got to look at what would the transfer fee be? We've only just bought him.
Well, Brownie, on that with Spurs, it's interesting you say that, but they don't. I'm not saying they're going to continue with like Jack Harrison if they did buy him, but they haven't really got a good record of buying wing backs. Their latest ones have been Doherty, who's improved, but this has been a recent thing. Emerson Royal, not been good for them at all. Ryan Sessegnon, that was 30 million down the drain. And then you've got Reguilon, who could even leave the club this summer. So that's why it kind of made sense. Because when I first heard it, I was like, nah, surely not. But then I thought, I was like, oh, there might actually be some credence to that rumor. So, but you're right, it is all about the fee that we get, because we got him for 11 in the end.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not an international, which always goes against you, unfortunately. So how much would you say is an acceptable fee?
It's interesting you say that about the international, because instantly, if you're playing for Tottenham and getting them numbers, I think he then does become on the England radar, which is a nonsense. I think you should be on the England radar no matter what club you play at. But as for transfer fees, like you say, it was 11 million in the end. If it's another season of double-figure goals, which I think it will, because he's already on 8, and that's just in the league, I think. So he might actually already be there with the Cups, because I knew he scored against Crewe. You've got to be looking around the 20 mark. If Tottenham want him,
I'd want 20. I'd want 25 minimum. If we bought him for 11 million and you've seen the output for 2 seasons on the bounce in the Premier League, I'd want 25 minimum.
I think 25 from a club that isn't our rival, I think that would be excellent business. I do. I think for Jack Harrison, a non-international who we know the true performances he gives week in, week out, I think 25 million would be amazing. But you just have to trust the club then to reinvest it. That's the thing.
Yeah, and on the flip side, will Harry Kane be at Tottenham next season? I'm not convinced. So you got to think how much money they're getting for Kane, and you see clubs left, right, like Newcastle have been held to ransom for players. If you know that Tottenham are bringing in 150 million for Kane, you're not getting Jack Harrison on the cheap. You have that transfer fee tax added straight away. So yeah, anything south of 20 million will be a joke, to be honest.
Yeah. Gabe said, how about the Marsh kick-ups before the Southampton throw? The skill, seriously, love the bottle from him. He apparently wound up Beckham as a player. Yeah, I think we're starting to, I think when he was going at the referee, did he get booked again? And I think it's one of those where you can tell he's got a dark side, old Jesse. I know he comes out all
Connor, you can hear it when you read between the lines of what he says in his press conferences. There's meaning behind some of the words that he says.
I love all that, though.
Yeah. Because he's not going to be direct. He's not going to be direct and tell everybody what he's exactly thinking, but you can read it between the lines. But he got booked because he got frustrated after that mix-up with the sub.
Yeah, he did.
He just carried on.
I wasn't a fan of that, though, because when Ayling came off, he's just like turning around and shouting at the subs bench. I'm just like, mate, that's not going to help.
But I love the passion. I love all that, and it's something that we haven't seen in the last few years. I mean, we ended up with a FIFA Fair Play award. How we ended up with that, I do not know. But it's the flip side of it. You are starting to see players around the referee. You are starting to see people shout and bawl and moan. And I think
they even appealed big for that Gelhardt penalty shout as well.
Yeah, they did. Right, lads, let's move on to the last section of the pod. Watford. So Leeds travel down to the capital next weekend in a big game. Obviously, we're going to find out what happens between Everton and Burnley, which is another big game in the relegation battle. But Watford, KG, what sort of game are we expecting down there, mate? Because they've been statistically horrendous at home. I think they've lost 8 on the bounce, won 2 at home all season. But away from home, I think I've read the other day on a chart that they're 12th in the division in terms of away games. But we've seen a little bit of an improvement. I caught a little bit of the Wolves game, and I thought it was a bit of a false score, to be honest. Wolves obviously sticking 4 past them. Did all right against Arsenal, only lost 3-2. Man United 0-0, and then obviously beating Southampton away, which was a right result. And then I don't know if you guys caught the Liverpool game at the weekend, but they had two massive chances, huge chances. So, KG, I don't think we can go into this and maybe take them for granted. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I've been pretty much like that since the Newcastle home defeat, where I just look at every game now and hope that we can win, because we don't have any guarantees, because we are one of those teams this season, unfortunately. So, but what I would hope is that these guys just see the magnitude of this game, knowing the games that we've got coming up afterwards, and just know how big 3 points would be. Everton, oh my days. They're all just spiraling. Those bottom three clubs are not going anywhere. And as the games tick on, it's just getting harder and harder for them. And I'm talking mentally here. It's just getting harder for them mentally to get up and get points on the board. So for us, the players knowing how big this is, Watford are definitely beatable. I mean, we are too, but Watford are definitely beatable. And they've got to look at this and say 3 points, and that will be pretty much it. That will be it for me. I think I already think in the back of my head, I already think that we're safe anyway. But another 3 points here would definitely cement that, and we can just chill for the rest of the season then.
For me, like I said, I've had time off and I've been looking at all the fixtures and stuff, and I'm with KG. I think we are safe. But this game's huge. I didn't realise. I mean, we spoke off air. After we've played Watford, Burnley have 4 games before we even kick a ball again. When we go into Crystal Palace on that Monday night, we'll actually have a game in hand on Burnley, which is bonkers. Because of Chelsea being in the FA Cup, our game against Chelsea has been taken out. Watford play twice, Everton play twice, Burnley play 4 times before we even touch a ball. So if we can get 3 points at Watford, puts us on to 33, and then we can literally sit back and chill through all of April. Don't have to kick, don't have to play football, don't have to do anything. We can just watch their games, tick by. And I've been looking at other teams' fixtures, and I've been generous, and I only see Burnley getting to 30 points, which is what we're already on. I don't, as much as I'd love to see Everton go down for obvious reasons, I think the bottom 3 is the bottom 3. And I do think Burnley will win on Wednesday, and I hope they do, but I still think the bottom 3 is the bottom 3.
You hope Burnley they win. I'm in Everton camp for that one. I want to see them.
I'm Burnley. I want to see Everton squirm. But I think Burnley have got 2 nice games coming up, Everton and Norwich, which I think
they're going to beat Norwich, aren't they? They're going to beat Norwich.
It's huge for them, that. But the other thing on the flip side as well is they've got games to sandwich in, and I don't know where they're sandwiching them in. Some games haven't even been rearranged yet. The fixture pile-up for them teams are crazy. Everton have got 2 games to sandwich in, and they're already playing. I mean, they play Wednesday, and then they play 12:30 on Saturday against Man United. But they've still got a sandwich in Crystal Palace, and they've still got to go to Watford themselves.
They've rearranged 2 other games, but they're going to be played in May against Spurs and Villa. So they're starting to rearrange those games now.
Yeah. But Watford are the only ones I can see getting out.
I think this game's going to be tougher than a lot of people think. I really do.
Watford have got it in their hand a bit. They've got us, they've got Burnley, and they've got Everton, all to go to Watford. So if you're a Watford fan, you're thinking, do you know what? It's in our hands a little bit. We've still got half a chance. That's why I think this game on Saturday is huge. If we can go there and win, that's job done for me.
Yeah.
Let's just let them fight amongst themselves. Who's going down?
Can I ask you then, like, just to give balance to it, because I've just seen a couple of people in the chat say it as well. What if Leeds are to lose the game? Because I think if we're to lose the game, it puts the absolute. I mean, especially if they lose to Burnley, Everton are in big trouble then. Everton are thinking, oh God, Watford are coming. But then the only thing I would worry about then, lads, is the fact that obviously we've got sort of 3 or 4 very, very tough games there. And I think there are a couple of teams in and around us who have way more favourable fixtures than we do. You've mentioned Watford, mentioned Burnley. So if we do lose against Watford, is it a little bit, not panicky, but would you be a little bit worried?
obviously you'd be worried. It's not ideal to go and get beat. I don't think we will get beat, but like I said, Everton are playing at half-12. They could end the weekend in the bottom 3. If they lose on Wednesday night, Everton could end the weekend in the bottom 3. Out of the 4 teams, I'd be more nervous if I was an Everton fan.
Yeah,
I'd rather be Watford right now with the games they've got available than Everton. I mean, Everton's run is Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United. They've got Leicester twice, and they've got to go to Burnley, and they've got to go to Watford of Everton. I mean, you're right. The Watford game is huge. It just puts everything to bed. I think anything
I think as a Leeds fan as well, KG. I mean, if you look at it, and the thing is, I keep saying I'd be all right with it, but I guess it's sort of mediating. You know, you're still keeping them at bay, but I do still look at, you know, the 4 games that we have got coming up afterwards, and I think it's going to be difficult for us to pick points up there. So even a point for Leeds, is that good enough, do you think, or is it all about just Watford not winning?
I think with drawing against Southampton, 3 points would be a lot better. But not losing is the most important thing, because it's a big psychological game right now. You see the way Everton played against West Ham. I mean, did that look like they were going to lose that game at certain points? Not really. But then once that second goal went in, it was all over. And that's kind of where we are in all fairness, except for a couple of fight backs. That's kind of where we've been. But we are now at a team now that's got 7 out of 9, which gives me a little bit more hope for this Watford game coming up. So I just think that it's in our favour a bit, this fixture. Yeah. And if we draw, I would really prefer a win. I'm not going to lie to you here. But
here's a question for you, Connor.
Not losing.
Are Newcastle safe, Connor?
Yeah, I know where you go. I know where you're going.
They've got one more point. They've got one more point. They've got one more, and I think this is where you have to take your Leeds head out of it. I think if you were to ask other fans, I think a lot of people would say Leeds are safe now.
Yeah, but they don't know Leeds.
I'm just saying, Newcastle are all apparently safe. Job done. They're on 31 points. We're on 30. That's just the angle I'm trying to get at.
I'd be interested to see Newcastle's next 4 games.
They've got the next 3 games are at home for Newcastle.
I think
they've had a lot of games on the road lately. Look, I think it's Leeds down. I think Leeds are safe, but I'm not counting Newcastle in it. I was just saying that one extra point keeps them safe.
It all matters though, Browner, because of our goal difference too. That's something that we can't forget. Unfortunately, our goal difference is one of the worst in the league, so we have to kind of account for that too. So whereas Newcastle are a point ahead, they're kind of like 2. If we're going to be, honest.
When you throw Watford into the equation, the goal difference is only 5, isn't it? Their goal
only
difference
5. It's only 5 if you're Liverpool or Man City.
No, what I'm saying is with Watford, they're on minus 28. Theirs is equally horrendous. Beat them 1-0 at the weekend. There's the two swinging it already. It's very close with the goal difference. But I don't see the bottom 3 changing now.
Yeah. I'm nervous for this one, lads. I really am. This one's the one where... No, but this one, honestly, it's just this one. I thought if we could get the win at the weekend, I wouldn't even care. I'd be like, I'd be coming on here with popping that collar. Yeah, we're safe, easy. But
how many points do you think we need, Connor?
I think on average, last year was unbelievable. One, I think you needed 29 points to stay up. Thank you, Sheffield United, West Brom, and Fulham. But we were nowhere near really, but it was just such a bad standard, wasn't it? I think this year is a lot better. I think on average it's been 34, 35, hasn't it? So I think
that's one win puts us 33. Yeah. We still got like the comment said, we've got Brighton to come at home. You'd like to think we beat Brighton at Ellen Road.
That looks massive, doesn't it? Hopefully it's not massive. Hopefully we're done by then. But
it better be done by the middle of May. I tell you what. But yeah, I honestly, I've
Are you still looking at other teams? Like, you know, because it's interesting, isn't it? Because everyone says, don't look at other teams, just stay in your lane. But are you that confident in Leeds that you're not looking at other teams? Or are you looking at other teams and thinking, look, if they screw up the next 2 games, then Leeds we're okay. What are your thoughts, KG?
No, I mean, I'm looking at ourselves right now because of our points total in the last 3. But I think it's once we lose a game, then I will look around at other teams and see what they're doing. But right now, we're doing something that we weren't doing a month or so ago, and that's taking care of our own business. We weren't doing that before, so we had to look at everyone else. We just had to. So, we're in a position now where we're not losing at this moment in time. Even though the performances aren't the best in the world, we're not after that. We just are after points on the board. Right now, I'm not looking at other teams. As long as we get what we need to do done, everyone else can just keep fighting it out for themselves. And for me, 35 points is the most I think we'll ever need this season.
Yeah, I agree. 35 is max. Yeah, 100%.
I've got us getting 8 out of the last 21. I've got us getting 8. I actually think we will finish higher than 16th. I do.
You're looking top 10, aren't you?
Not top 10, mate. Not top 10. I think we'll finish higher than 16th, and I've got us getting 8 out of the next 21. Obviously, 3 of them are at the weekend at Watford.
Yeah. I think special attention's going to have to be put to the wide areas, because you expect Roy Hodgson, being a bit of a wily old character, he's going to play as wide as they can, play Ishmael Sarr out wide, Dennis out wide, potentially Cuco Hernandez. So you expect. I think we're in agreement that you know, Watford are going to cause us some problems, but it's all about Leeds being efficient, isn't it? Leeds actually been efficient with our chances, unlike at the weekend.
Well, look, Connor, just put it in this way. At the teams at the bottom, we're at the moment where we've got players that are literally improving, like Rodrigo. Yep. Some of you will say Mateus Click, etc. Whereas other teams right now, Everton, they're getting a player sent off nearly every game now. They've got players bang out of form. Watford can't score goals. So everyone else is having little problems, whereas we're picking up points and going steady. That's where you want to be at this point of the season.
Of course it is. Yeah.
And that's where I came away from the Southampton game thinking, at this stage of the season, it's just any point is a good point now. Just keep adding to the tally. Just keep chipping points onto there. And I mean, we're looking at Burnley saying, they've won 3 games out of 28.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. I think it is one of those things where it does get to this stage of the season. I think, do you know what it is, Brownie? I think it's because historically Burnley have done what they've done when it's got to the last 10, 11 games. And I think people pick up on that, of course. I think I do a little bit. But I think overall, you know, we saw it with Sunderland, right? We saw it with Wigan. Stokes a really good example. There has to be a point. At which that squad cycle of 4 or 5 years, Burnley very unique in that aspect. You know, you look at Tarkowski, Nick Pope, Ben Mee, you know, Jack Cork. That nucleus, it's just not good enough, is it? So that's going to wear out at some point, and I do think it is going to be curtains for Burnley this year. I do genuinely believe that. Do
you know what blew my mind today? Like, we're not even thinking about Norwich. We all agree Norwich are down.
Palace are beating Arsenal, by the way.
Yeah. We all agree that Norwich are down, yeah?
Yes.
Norwich have won more games than Burnley. That's how bad Burnley have been this year. Norwich have won more games.
They're always so weird though, Brownie, aren't they? Because it's like you just said that. I mean, you're not going to stay up if you don't score goals. But once again, I think they've conceded 36 goals this season. They're defensively being very decent, Burnley, but it's not enough, is it? It's not enough.
No, yeah, and again, Watford's huge, but I think we go there and do a job. I think it'd be a comfortable away day, which one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I think
there's only so much Sir Nick Pope can do for Burnley. You know, everyone runs out of gas eventually. Come on now.
But on the flip side, though, if it isn't a good day, we're then not playing for 8. We're not playing for another 2 weeks after that. It's a long time to wait.
Is it a bit of pressure on Palace then?
Yeah, massive. If we get beat at Watford, but there's only pressure on the Palace game if then Burnley, Watford, and Everton pick up results, which, like KG says, they're not doing. It's another game week where we've chalked off and we've gained another point on the bottom 3. These bottom 4 teams, their form at the minute is horrendous.
That 3, you're right though. That 3, if we just get 3 at Watford, it completely kills it. I am 100% in agreement of that. It just kills it. It's just we have to come on, Leeds, just get it. And on that note, on that note, I'm stressing about this game so much.
It's only Monday.
Think of how you feel now. Remember how bad we felt after the Newcastle game when we lost that one for a couple of weeks. Oh my gosh!
Do you remember that
this week, please?
That was like that felt like grief.
Other than Norwich, Watford have been the worst team to come to Ellen Road this season.
New manager though, but yeah, fair point. Right, let's get some scores in. We all want to go off and watch Palace thump Arsenal, don't we? So, okay. So, who are we starting with? Do you want me to go first? Does anybody who wants to go?
Go on,
I'll go for 2-1. 2-1 to Leeds.
2-1 to Leeds.
Yeah.
KG.
I'm going 3-1. I think it'd be a nice, joyful away day. I can just picture Rodrigo just sliding on his knees in front of the away end in that corner behind the goal.
Yeah, I think he needs to have a good game. I think at the minute he needs to have a good game, doesn't he, for Leeds to have a good game? I think he's just that pivotal at the minute. 2-1 Leeds, 4-4 says Nick. 2-1, 3-1 Leeds, 3-0 to Watford says Iris Hit. 0-0. 0-0. God, imagine that. When was the last time we had a 0-0?
Would you take it? Would you take it?
It comes back to that, doesn't it? It's would you take a draw with the four coming up that we've got?
It just keeps that gap to 8 points still, though, doesn't it?
It does, Brownie. It does.
And that's why I was saying earlier in the show, I'm very interested to see the team lineup. Where's Jesse Marsh's head at? Is he thinking, just don't lose? And if you see a Forshaw Phillips, I don't know. Be interesting to see how we set up. Really will be.
Yeah, Forshaw Phillips. Imagine. I just feel like there's a couple of Dan James missed opportunities this weekend, isn't there? Again,
you've got 2-0 Troy Deeney brace, haven't you? I know where this is.
Troy Deeney comes back for Leeds, puts his boots on. Is he still playing at Birmingham or not?
Yeah, he's there. Is he?
Right. Okay.
Connor, tell us how you feel, man.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to go with my head. Not my heart. No, I'm going to go the other way around. I'm going with my heart. Heart, I'll say I'm going to go with KG. I'm going to go 2-1.
Just out of interest, what was the head?
4-0 Watford. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, I'm not. I'm just thinking like this Gelhardt news has made me a little bit ill. So yeah, but
I mean, listen. Everyone gets setbacks, man. We've got Rodrigo on the case, man. All right.
Listen, you're a different man. You're a different man. Imagine you saying that 6 weeks ago, KG.
Yeah, I know, but hey, listen, Rodrigo stepped up to the plate. He's coming, man. He's coming.
God. Right, we'll get the league table up. I'm getting well and truly battered. There we go. Me on 5.
Because you say silly things like 4-0 Watford.
What I will say is, everybody, I'm just going to put this out there, and I did say this on the group chat. I did say it'd be a draw at the weekend, but on the debrief, I said we'd win 3-1. So yeah, there you go. I'm not taking my recent result, which I said. I'm going to take my debrief result. So there you go. I should be on 6. But there you go. Brownie in the lead, KG on his tail there, and Connor getting. I need a correct. No, KG's gone 2-1. Right, I'm changing my score. My score is going to be. Brownie.
I dare you to go for a clean sheet, Connor. I dare you.
Yeah, I'll go 1-0 Leeds. 1-0 Leeds. There you go. So I've got to pick up the point big time.
I really hope it's 2-1 now. Now that you've changed your score from 2-1.
Give Connor some sympathy points. Yeah, cheers. I appreciate
not
that.
If you read our group chat, he's not getting any sympathy points.
All right. That's going to be it, guys. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed this one. We've gone through a lot of topical debates, which has been interesting. And yeah, make sure you check it out. Make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing. Cage's channel is in the description below this week. Brownies is in the description below. Not a channel, everybody. One day he'll make a channel. We'll pay pressure.
No, he won't. We'll
get him an editor. But yeah, check Brownie's Twitter out. It's always worth it. Hope you've enjoyed it, guys. Cheers and take care. We'll see you in a bit.